Well, on Monday, the Prime Minister is revealing his roadmap out of the COVID pandemic. Companies will be watching to see how they can get back on track. I'm Ian Mean, Gloucestershire Director of Business West, and I'm talking to Business West Managing Director Phil Smith about what Boris Johnson needs to do for business. So, Phil, what does he need to do on Monday?
Well, as much trailed through lots of the press and media, Ian, I think certainly he needs a roadmap that is based on data, not dates. We cannot afford for another kind of yo-yo situation of releasing lockdowns and then going back into another lockdowns and stuff. I think as far as possible, I think we must be desperate that he is desperate to make this the last significant lockdown. So whatever he does, it should be data driven, not date driven, and it should be, it should be positive. It should, but we very much need to make sure that this is the last lockdown. The yo-yo situation is killing for businesses, particularly the ones that have to open up, set up, and then close down 2 weeks later. We must stop that.
Yeah. Do you think he's been seduced by the scientists a bit?
I think there's been a domination of the epidemiology scientists and not enough maybe economists and things. I think for sure. I think the biggest thing he can do, however, is whatever the restrictions are, however he phases them out, Ian, the business support has to go hand in hand, whether it's rates relief or extensions of furloughs or something. I think Adam Marshall put it beautifully yesterday. I heard somewhere, the Director General of British Chambers of Commerce, about businesses having run a marathon and they're on the 25th mile. And what government must now do is wait there with silver foil blankets and a cup of hot soup across the finishing line and help them get across rather than abandon them on the last lap. So I think that really explains to me, or paints a picture to me, of what the government needs to do. Having spent all of our taxpayers' money so far, billions and hundreds of billions, it'd be criminal now to let the runners fall just before the finish line. So, but on the other hand, we have to wean ourselves off this, particularly those, there are some areas that do need more help, and where there's definite restrictions, if it is still hospitality or something like aerospace here, it's just really struggling. We do need some specific interventions there that may be different from the rest of the carpet lockdown furlough scheme.
Yeah. On the furlough scheme, do you think if he extends it, it should be more targeted, particularly to hospitality, perhaps?
Yes, I'm not quite sure where. There's different arguments for hospitality or, as I say, aerospace sectors, but I think it should be targeted. There's an awful lot of companies, dare I say, retail, that are furloughing people that may never have jobs. The principle here must be to keep people in jobs that will start again. If those jobs aren't going to exist in 4 months' time, then let's stop it now. Otherwise, we're just throwing good money after bad, I think. So there must be some scope for not blanketing this, but it's an invidious job to decide which sectors.
Yeah, rates holiday as well. There's big speculation there that will be extended. I mean, business rates to me seem just an iniquitous tax.
Yes, particularly in the modern day of of Google and Amazon and companies that don't have high street premises and all those rates. I mean, unfortunately, business rates is a decision he should have made a month ago, because landlords and tenants will be talking a quarter days about next quarter's rent and stuff, and the rates will be in that. So companies might be giving up their premises now because they don't know if they got business rates extension. So that decision really should come out a few weeks ago, I think. But hey ho, we are where we are. I do worry about taxes generally. You must be tempted sorely to talk about taxes, be they wealth taxes or capital stamp duty taxes or capital gains taxes or whatever. But he needs to be super careful now not to knock the confidence at this time of particularly SME and entrepreneurs, just when they're thinking of getting up and going again. And if he starts changing the tax rules or announcing them too quickly, I think that's worrying, undermines confidence. So I think he needs to be super careful about signaling tax increases, Ian.
Yeah, lots of talk about vaccination passports, and I see, just reading the Times today, Robert Buckland, of course, the Justice Secretary, who's a South Swindon MP, is saying that it may be that new staff could be asked to ensure that they have a jab. Sort of their headline in the Times, "No jab, no job," could be legal for new staff. What's your view on that?
This is really, really tricky and a quagmire. I think personally the government has to come out and put some legislation around this. You can't leave it to employers and lawyers and employment lawyers. It'd be an absolute nightmare from existing staff, new staff. You know, Phil Smith doesn't want to come into work. Do you force him? Or Phil Smith is forced into work, but the people around him don't like him because he hasn't had a jab. It's riven with challenges. I don't think it's fair to let employment lawyers and companies and individuals walk into this without any scaffolding. And I think desperately Robert Buckland is on the right track there. Whether it's just for new employees, I don't know, but something needs to come to government to put some framework in for the law. Otherwise, it'll be a heyday for employment lawyers. Otherwise.
Yeah. Now, from Business West's point of view, what can we do more for business at the current time? It is very, very difficult. We've got lots of struggling businesses. Exporting seems to be an area where some firms could well benefit.
Yes, I mean, exporting. I think basically the government needs a plan at the moment, an economic plan. They've got, they're coming out with these health plans and things, but we need a strategy for this. There's plenty to be going at, isn't there? There's plenty of world trade, new technology. There's a whole world out there that if we were bold and took the massive, if we spent £200 billion on investing in certain industries rather than propping up the health service, that's the next call. Money is cheap. Whether the government gets this from you and I as green bonds or recovery bonds or whatever Keir Starmer was talking about, or it just borrows, money is desperately cheap at the moment. They should borrow and not a lot more, I think. We'll pay back over the next 2 or 3 generations. But if we take a lead now in some of these world-leading industries, hydrogen, green, I think the future is rosy for Britain, and that's an export future. We've got trials, tribulations at the moment. My team are dealing with all sorts of wrinkles about documentation, post-Brexit transition stuff. I mean, that will persist for another 18 months for sure. But the wider macro, longer term, we have to be bold here. And I think the government could do worse. And I quite like this new innovation ideas in agency. I forget what it's called, Avia or something. That's the sort of stuff. We should be doing some moon programs, some moon shots. We should be leading this. We've got the intellectual. We were almost the first in the world with this vaccine. Now, that's not by mistake. That's not just happen chance. That's because we've got some world-leading brains in this country. Let's exploit them commercially.
That's great, Phil. Thank you very, very much.